you know how to set up your account. In this section, we're going to take a look at how to improve your account even more. We're going to check out some future upcoming features of TikTok, how to change your location, how to access TikTok Pro Analytics, and much more. If you're ready, let's jump in. That anybody actually can access and apply to, and you can switch your accounts to Pro, and it doesn't cost anything. The main benefit of TikTok Pro is that it gives you access to your analytics, and it's actually very detailed analytics about your content, where your content is displayed, who are your followers, their demographic, their gender, their age, and location. And also, very importantly, it also shows you what type of content your followers already watch. So it gives you hints at what kind of content you can create, and also what type of songs they listen to, so what's currently trending. So you can jump on trends when they are very popular, and you can take advantage of that and grow your account even more. There are no drawbacks to switching to your Pro account. You can always switch back to personal, but the main benefit is that you get access to analytics and really nothing to lose. So right now I am in my TikTok profile. As you can see, these are the videos, and at the top right are the three little dots. That's the settings. So I go ahead and click on these settings, and there's a lot of different settings over here. We walked through most of them, and on the top it says manage my account. So if you want to apply to TikTok Pro, you want to go ahead and click on manage my account, and then on the bottom it will say switch to a Pro account. I'm already on the Pro account, so for me it's offering switch back to personal, but if you didn't apply it, you would just go ahead and click on switch to Pro account, and it's very couple of steps, very simple. You just they'll ask you some basic questions about if it's for business or a famous person and what category you're in. None of that is shown in your profile. There's more for statistics for TikTok, but that's basically how you apply. It's just a couple of clicks and you're in. Now if you want to access the analytics, we're going to go back and we are in our settings and privacy tab. As you can see from the top, it's a couple of settings from the top. We have the analytics. I'm going to go ahead and click on analytics, and this will open the analytics for the new page, the new accounts that I have created on TikTok. So from the very top, as you can see, there's overview, and then we have content and followers. So let's start with the overview. First off, you can see statistics and analytics for the last 7 days or 28 days, for the last week or for the last month. So we have it set for the last 7 days. I can click on the 28 days, and it will show me a longer perspective. So if you keep it to 7 days, this will show me the video views. So you can see that in total, my account has received 44,000 video views in the last 7 days, and you can see which specific days have more views than others. So this one day got actually half of all of those views. Then over here we can see the followers and what is the gain and the growth in the followers, and the profile views. So how many people actually visit your profile, because you can have a lot of video views, but that's from the for you page, the home page. Not necessarily all of those people are in your profile, but if they click through, they'll check out your profile. So you can see that in the last week I got 770 profile views. We can switch that over to 28 days on all of these analytics, and it'll show us what is the growth and what are the profile views. So as you can see, for me, I got the vast majority on that particular day. But yeah, this is the basic overview. So that's the overview of the analytics. The next tab is content. So here it'll show me my latest posts from the last 7 days. As you can see, I have 13 posts that were published in the last 7 days. You can go ahead and click on view all if you want to see all of them. Otherwise, I'll just show you the highlight. And then we have the trending videos. So these are videos that are still getting a lot of attention, even though they may be posted longer than 7 days ago. This is something that's interesting about the TikTok algorithm, that you might post a video and it may not get a lot of traction at the beginning. Let's just say it gets a couple hundred views, and it'll be sort of stagnant. And maybe a week later or a month later, it'll suddenly get picked up. It'll be trending, and it'll keep receiving more views. I have videos like that. For example, one of the videos that I published got maybe 10,000 views within the first week, and then it sort of just stayed there for a while, nothing happened. But then another week later, it started to get a lot more attention, and it suddenly grew to up to about 70,000 views. So we do have several lectures that talk about the algorithm, how it works, what to do if your video flops, and if it doesn't work, what to do if your video works really well. So we have lectures about that in the future, don't worry. But just to give you a quick overview, here you see the videos that are currently trending on your profile, and it doesn't mean they're the videos from the last 7 days. These are the videos that are getting most of the attention right now. And then you have the access to the followers. So it'll show you the total follower count, the gender split, and the territories. We have a lecture in this section actually that will talk about the territory and where your content is displayed and what type of content you actually see. So we'll talk about why you are displayed in those countries. For me particularly, most of my audience is from Denmark and Scandinavia, a little bit from the US, you can see over there. And then we have the breakdown of when the users are active. So what is the activity based on the hour of the day. So that is what we have. That's what's the main statistics of the followers that we have access to. On the very bottom of my screen over here with the followers, you can see it says videos your followers watched and sounds your followers listened to. In this particular account, this is a new account that I opened, so it doesn't have enough data, but over there it would show you which videos are currently trending and which sounds are currently trending within your audience. This is a very powerful tool because you can go ahead, click on it, and then you can see what is popular within your target group and create videos using those sounds, or get those videos as inspiration and do something similar. So to recap, now you know how simple it is to apply for TikTok Pro account. You know that it doesn't cost anything, anybody can apply, and you'll get access to detailed analytics, which is very, very valuable. And in future lectures, we'll talk about how you can use this analytics even more to improve your personal brand, your business, or just your personal page. In the next lecture, we'll talk about how to get verified. Right, so let's start with what TikTok Pro actually is. Right now, TikTok Pro gives you access to analytics, and that's really all there is to it. It doesn't change your profile, it doesn't change what you see, boosts you, nothing in the settings. The only change is that you get more detailed analytics, so you can see who's following you, where are they from, the followers, how many followers you have, how many you're gaining on a daily basis, how many video views you have, what's the watch time. And you also see one thing that's pretty insightful and interesting is that you see what are the trending videos with your audience and the trending songs with your audience. So you can use that for inspiration for content. If you see that there's a specific song that's very popular, you can use that in your videos because people already be able to relate. And the same with the videos. If you can check what they find interesting and then use that as an inspiration for your own content. So that's something that's really, really cool. Mostly I use TikTok Pro just to see how I'm growing and how fast I'm gaining followers. And then I can sort of gauge what kind of content gets a lot of views. It also shows you what's the most trending videos you have in the last 7 days. So sometimes you'll post a video and it doesn't do really well. It'll just be sort of low views for weeks, and then suddenly it gets picked up and it starts to get a lot of views, and it seems like it's out of nowhere. And we're not really sure how the algorithm works, but it just happens sometimes. And I'll see that a video that was quiet for 3 weeks maybe starts to get a lot of views, and I'll see that in the analytics because I'll see that it's a trending video, and I'll be able to see how many views I got in the last 7 days for that specific video. So that's sort of what TikTok Pro is. In terms of getting it, it's very simple, and we have a lecture on that. You just go to the account and you apply. You can reverse it, so it's not a problem. You can stop the Pro. There's not really side effect. It doesn't cost anything. It's free, and anybody can apply. So it's not really restricted anyway. There's no side effects. It only has benefits of having the analytics in your profile accessible. That's really the only change there is.
Are there thresholds to it? Like, if you apply, do you ever see people not get it?
No, it's an automatic process. So when you apply, you will just see, they'll ask you questions like, are you a popular person, or are you a business, or whatever? Just very simple questions you go through, and then you get it right away. So it's automated, and it's not like being verified on TikTok where you get that sort of blue mark next to your name. Nobody else can see whether or not you have a pro account. It's all internal, and even if you are just opening your account, you can apply and you'll get it right away. And I think you should, because then you have the access to analytics from the very beginning. It's just good to have more data.
Yeah, one thing I think I would point out is that there's one key metric that TikTok builds their entire algorithm around, and that's watch time. So if you don't have TikTok Pro and you don't know the average watch time on your videos, you are really just shooting yourself in the foot. Like, you need to know what your watch time is. If you ignore all the other metrics on there, I mean, a lot of that stuff is very useful, but that one golden metric, because if you post something and it doesn't do well, and then you look at it and you don't have TikTok Pro, you're gonna have no idea. Most of the time, it's because your watch time is low, right? And watch time is just such a big part of TikTok. You know, if you do a 15-second video, getting average watch time over 10 seconds in that 15-second format is enormous, right? And so you wouldn't be able to rehab these videos, improve on your next ones if you didn't know where people were dropping out.
Yeah, absolutely. It just gives you more information, and it's just more guidance as you grow your account and get a bigger reach. In this lecture, we're going to talk about what does it mean to get an account verified, and we'll talk about the process of verifying your account. When your account is verified, that basically means that you get a stamp of approval by TikTok. It will show a little blue badge next to your name. And that just means that you are either a known personality or creator on TikTok, or you're a known personality creator off of TikTok. So I have my phone here and my TikTok account. Just wanted to show you. I'm over here in my feed, and I was scrolling through the videos, and one of them over here is from Hoobs Nation. As you can see on the bottom left, it has their name, and next to the name is a little blue check mark. If I go up to the previous video, as you can see, there, the user doesn't have the check mark, and also if you go below, it doesn't have that check mark. It's only on this user, and that just means that user is verified. So I'm going to go ahead and click. You can see this is an account for basketball fans, and they have 2.3 million followers. So this could either be a real business or company that's off TikTok, that's why they got verified, or that just means they're a very famous creator on TikTok. So like I mentioned, there's two types of accounts that are verified. The ones that are off TikTok famous, so they could be anything from, for example, actors. All of them can get verification. If you're a big brand or business, you can get verified. Basically anybody that's known in sort of general public eye, they'll get verification, and they'll just reach out to TikTok and they get verified. But you have to be quite famous and quite well known in order to get that verification. The other option is to get verified inside TikTok. So a lot of the big creators, the really, really big ones, the ones that have millions of followers, they can get verification from TikTok because they've contributed a large amount of content. They're entertaining or educating a lot of the audiences. And if they are, you just sort of go within the positive guidelines of TikTok. They post a lot of content, they're engaged, they're very active, and they have a lot of followers, they can get verified as well. The third sort of a secret alternative to getting verified is if you are a business, you can run ads on TikTok, and if you spend at least $50,000 in advertising, you can also get verified. So this is a business. We do have a separate section that talks entirely about TikTok for business and TikTok ads, so you can check out those sections in the future. But basically, if you set up your TikTok ads account and you spend at least $50,000, you do have a direct communication channel with TikTok. You'll have a direct sort of a customer representative from TikTok that will speak to you, and as soon as you hit 50K in ad spend, you can get that account verification. Now, the main benefit of having the account verified is basically having extra authority or having that sort of street credit on TikTok. It just means that TikTok has looked at you and they sort of verified that you are an important creator to the platform. For small and upcoming creators, it can be actually quite difficult to get verified. So if you're not really famous in the real world or you're not known, it could be very difficult to get verified if you have a small number of followers. So if you have, let's say, maybe a couple 100,000 followers, it may still not be enough. There isn't a specific number of like this many followers and you become automatically verified. It's actually reviewed. There's a subjective opinion from somebody from TikTok that will look at your account and they'll determine whether or not it is worth a verification. But you have to have really high numbers if you are just active on TikTok. If you are known off TikTok, it's much easier. I mean, there's also, for example, athletes who are not as known as actors, so they're not famous per se in that way, but they're still quite known. And some athletes that have, maybe not even 100,000 followers, and they can get verified because they have achievements and accomplishments in the real world outside of TikTok. So if you are starting off, it is impossible actually to get verified at the very beginning, and it shouldn't even be your goal. Your goal should be produce valuable content, and then you're either driving business results or you're growing your personal brand or you're growing your personal page. So really, account verification is not something that you should be looking at as an objective, but it correlates with producing great content and providing a lot of value. So you just focus on doing that. At some point, eventually, you can apply for getting your account verified. One thing to note, there is a couple of websites and apps that will claim they can get your account verified, and this is not real. It's fake. These are scams. You'll be very concerned about these, and a lot of them, will be promising a lot of things, and usually for a payment, small or big, if they promise to get you verified, it is not true. Nobody outside of TikTok can get you verified. They cannot help you in any way. The only way to get verified, again, to conclude, is to either be known and famous off of TikTok or be a very valuable creator on TikTok with millions of followers.
It's a bit to unpack, but I'll give you some thoughts on this. One thing I think people need to realize is that verification is just a status thing. So if you have a verified logo, it means that people are more likely to follow you because that verification means you're probably someone famous, therefore your content must be better. So there's a benefit there, but it's not nearly as important as other platforms. If you're on Instagram, that badge, or especially on Twitter, holy crap, like verification is huge on Twitter. Those platforms like Twitter and Instagram are built around status, whereas TikTok, what they're trying to do is build around talent and not status. They're trying to be anybody can grow on this platform. Doesn't matter if you're famous and you give TED Talks and stuff like that, or people recognize you. That shouldn't matter as much. So, is verification a good thing? And if you get it, yes. Is it a huge thing? Less so on TikTok. I mean, it's not huge. Does it cost money to get verified? No. How do you get verified? It's always an open. It's a black box. I mean, every platform is like a black box. For a very short period of time, Twitter used to have this thing where you could request to be verified, and that was the most transparency I've ever seen on a platform with regards to verification. Like TikTok, they're not going to tell people how you get verified. Usually the way they do it is they have an algorithm that's constantly crawling accounts, and what they'll do is they'll look at your account, and then they'll go and search online or look at your other accounts and then see if the other ones are verified or if the other ones are really big, or if like your name pops up a lot and that's something they care about. But we don't really know the magic of the verification system. It's always ongoing. I would imagine at this point TikTok might be doing a lot of manual verification, but if they're not already, they very soon will be doing automatic. It'll be an automatic bot doing that. And that thing the bot is never going to make a lot of sense to everybody. So I just really wouldn't worry about it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Right now, there's really nothing you can do about being proactive towards it. Or at least, there are things you can try, but I've never seen them be effective.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be your focus when you get on TikTok. The only thing that really gives you is authority. And even that varies from niche to niche. So if you are, for example, giving advice about business or you have some professional advice, then it helps to I think, have the verification because it shows people like, yes, I know what I'm talking about, because people can just say whatever they want on TikTok. So in that way, it could help, but it's very indirect. It won't give you more followers, or it won't help in any of those ways. If you are a business, then again, if you are a big company, then you can get verification. But if you are a startup or like a medium, like a normal sort of more medium-sized company, it'll be very hard to get verified. And also, if you're just an individual, we've seen people that were verified on Vine, for example. A lot of those get verification also on TikTok. Also, all the people that were verified on Musical.ly, that it carries through. So sometimes there are accounts that are not huge, but they've been verified before. And as Evan said, if you are a famous person, then you get the verification. And we see accounts that have a couple hundred followers or a couple thousand, and really small accounts that they're verified, is because they're big on other platforms or they're famous in the real world outside of social media. One way as a business to get verified, actually right now what they do is if you do run advertising through TikTok, so you sign up for the TikTok ads as a business and you spend at least $50,000, you'll automatically get the verification badge on your organic profile. So that's one way to do
Really?
it. Yeah, but that's sort of you're not paying for the verification, obviously. You're paying for the ads, hopefully with a positive ROI. And as a side effect, after you spend 50K, you get a verification badge. So that's one way that you can sort of go around it. But you definitely shouldn't spend 50K just on getting verification. There are websites and apps that will claim that they can get you verification. It's not true, and you should definitely not try to do it. You actually risk getting banned if TikTok will flag you because somebody in a shady country is trying to act on your behalf. So it shouldn't be a huge focus. It helps indirectly a little bit, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, my guess is that 50K loophole is not going to exist for very long. Oftentimes, when platforms are new, especially the ad platform, they'll use incentives like that to get people to spend money or to get people onto the platform, but it's not sustainable in the long run, so they usually get rid of those loopholes. So at the moment, maybe it is the case you could do that, but I doubt that's going to stick around.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes. But no matter what, it shouldn't be too huge of a focus. TikTok is about content, so people that produce great content will get more attention than just having verification. There's a bit of a secret hack, but we can actually predict very accurately what kind of features are coming to TikTok next. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this lecture. By the end of the lecture, you'll know what is the number of features that we can expect inside of your TikTok account. So as you know, TikTok was acquired by a Chinese company, and there's actually a different version of TikTok for mainland China than there is for the rest of the world. It's called Douyin, and I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly in Chinese, but the same apps owned by the same company, and they have different names but the same logo. But the important thing for us to know is that the Chinese version, the mainland China version, is actually a few features ahead of the Western version. So they'll first run the features in China, and if they work well, if they get adapted, then they'll apply them to the TikToks of the rest of the world. So by looking at the Chinese version, we actually already know what kind of feature we can expect in our TikTok account very soon. One thing to note that's interesting is that the actual mainland China version of TikTok, there's educational content and entertainment content. And the Chinese version of TikTok actually has much more educational content. That one tends to be more popular than entertainment. Now, I'm not sure if this is because of culture or if there's different features that we can expect, but it's just an interesting nuance to understand. So the first feature that we're going to see very soon probably is social commerce. So the ability to purchase product directly from the TikTok videos. So especially in this short video, you can see that we're going to be able to purchase products that are featured in videos directly. So in the same place where there are effects, there's a little icon that will suggest that there's a product in the video. I'll take you directly to an e-commerce equivalent of Amazon, for example, in whatever country you're located in. We know that it's already happening in China, and people can buy products that are featured in videos. This is going to be obviously huge for both brands and influencers and us as consumers as well. So imagine that you're an influencer, and if you're wearing certain clothing from a company, you can include a link from this piece of clothing, fashion, that people can buy it directly. This already happens on Instagram, for example, but it's coming to TikTok as well. The second feature we can expect is the ability to book a room in a hotel or maybe possibly Airbnbs directly from the videos. Again, this is what we see in the Chinese version, is that sometimes when there is hotel rooms featured in accounts, and let's say somebody will go to a hotel and they can tag the specific hotel, and the hotel can offer rooms, you can book it directly when you see it in the video. The third feature is virtual tours of stores and restaurants. So you'll have the ability to go into a store through TikTok using the app, and there'll be sort of a 3D virtual tour of inside of the store or inside of the restaurant. You can decide whether you want to go in there before you actually go. And again, this will be tied with influencers, other people that have been there before. They'll be able to link it together. The fourth feature is geotagged reviews. So geotagged just means tied to a specific location. So let's say I'll go to a restaurant and I'll shoot a video, TikTok video inside the restaurant. And I can also include a review of that restaurant. And this review will be geographically tagged, geotagged with this specific location. And then other users will be able to see that I reviewed this specific location with the geotag. And the next feature is in-video facial recognition search. So we've seen this on the main Chinese version of the app, of the TikTok app, is that you can stop a video and you can search, and if there's a person's face in that video, you can search that specific face and it'll find all of the videos that feature that face. This is a very interesting feature, and there have been some questions and controversies about privacy and data and facial recognition technology. But setting all the politics aside, we do know that this feature already exists in the Chinese version, and it's something we can expect very soon. And the last piece is not really a feature, but it's sort of a whole new functionality, is full feature films. Right now, TikTok, you can see very short videos, 15 up to 60 seconds, and that's all we see. But we do know that the mainland China version of TikTok has already had actually full feature films that are produced by companies. So instead of a company releasing a film in theaters or putting it into, for example, Netflix, they'll release it directly on TikTok. So we don't know for sure if we'll have the same functionality, but it is something to be aware of, and something that you might see on your phone very soon, is that there'll be full feature films in your TikTok account. So to recap, now you know that China has its own version of TikTok. You also know that this Chinese version actually has more value or educational content than entertainment content in comparison to the Western version of TikTok. You also know that we can expect a number of upcoming features. Number one being that you can buy products directly from videos. Number two, you can book hotels and hotel rooms and from the videos. Number three, we can have virtual tours of restaurants and shops. Number four, geotagging reviews. Number five, in-video facial recognition. And number six, full feature films. Again, we're not guaranteed that we're going to see these features, but it is very likely because they've already been tested and they're running at a large scale in China. In the next video, we're going to talk about location. More specifically, we'll find out why your content is only viewed in certain countries and why you see content from certain countries. When you post videos on TikTok, it is only displayed in certain regions around the world. And it's exactly what we talked about in this lecture. We'll also discuss how come you see videos only from certain countries. Most of the other platforms, social media platforms, will determine your location based on where you are physically located. So for example, from your GPS or from the Wi-Fi. And they'll also serve you content from all over the world. But TikTok is a little different. TikTok's main variable they take into consideration when seeing what's your location and where they should distribute your content is the actual SIM card in your phone. So for example, even if you are physically located in Germany and you've been there for months, but your SIM card is from France, for example, most of your content will be only displayed in France, and you will see a lot of the content in your feed from France. Now, the content that you see in your feed is a combination of your SIM card. So if I have a French SIM card, I will see a lot of French content, but it's also a combination of the algorithm and my own preferences. So if I tend to like a lot of English spoken content, and mostly from the US, for example, I will see a lot of that type of videos as well. It's sort of a combination. So what you see is a combination of your SIM card and your preferences. You can also choose the type of language that you want to see in your account. So I'm in my profile, and I'll go ahead and click on top right is the settings. And then inside the settings, you can see that in the second section called General, there's a language tab. I'll go ahead and click on the language tab. And this is the language of the app. So you can select the language, but it's the language of the app, not necessarily of the content. So this doesn't help you to change what type of content you actually see. The more you use the app, the more the algorithm is going to learn about you. So just by if you like, for example, English content or content that has English in it, you'll watch that type of content longer. Your watch time will be longer, and the algorithm will learn these are the type of videos that you like more. So over time, it will tend to serve you videos that you are going to like more. But the content that's distributed from you, so when you post a video, it will mostly only be displayed in the country of your SIM card's location. Over here, I am in my profile inside the settings, and I'll click on analytics. And we talked about how to get access to analytics, but I'm going to go ahead and click on followers. And as you can see from my followers, vast majority are from Denmark. That's because I have a Danish SIM card, even though I'm not physically located in Denmark right now, and I haven't been there for months, maybe half a year. But still, and when I opened the account, I was not located in Denmark. I was in a different country. But because I have the Danish SIM card in the phone, it still shows all of my content mostly to Denmark. So you can't really change the content from inside of the app. So unfortunately, the only way you can change the location of where your content is displayed or where you see the content from is to change the SIM card. You can sometimes buy a SIM card of a particular country on Amazon, so it depends on where you want to see your content. For example, if you want your content displayed in the US, you might be able to purchase SIM cards that are prepaid in the US, have it shipped to your country, but in your phone. It's a very complicated way, but that's the only way to do it. And it's the same if you're a business. For example, if you're a Spanish company, but your market is in the US, however, you have a Spanish SIM card and you are in Spain, all your content that you post on TikTok will be displayed in Spain. So you should get a SIM card for whatever your location you want to have your content displayed in. So to summarize, the content that you see in your feed is a combination of your SIM card and that region, and the combination of your preferences. And where your content is displayed, that's mostly a function of where your SIM card is from. The only way to change that is to change your SIM card. In the next lecture, we're going to conclude this section. Yeah, so I mean, there's one main reason to change the location, and that's so TikTok is very localized. And if you are, for example, in Spain, you will see a lot of the content from Spain, and your content will be displayed in Spain. The reason to change the location might be if you want your content to be displayed in a different country. So I think I'm a really good example of this. I had a Danish SIM card in my phone, and I've been living in Portugal, but my content is all in English because I speak English. And I was really not getting engagement because all my content was displayed in Denmark because I had a Danish SIM card in the phone. And I was not getting engagement, I was not getting that many views, I was really not growing the first couple of weeks. And I could see in my analytics that most of my content, the vast majority, was Denmark, and then a few countries around Denmark, so like Norway, Sweden, and Finland would get other views. And that's pretty much was the bulk of my audience, even though I had English content. And as soon as I switched my content to be shown in the US, then my account sort of skyrocketed, and I grew a lot from there, and I saw a major shift. So the only reason to change the location would be if you want your content to be displayed in a different country, and then you'll see that content in your actual feed. You can't do it directly through the TikTok app, so you can choose language preferences in the app. And that, for example, if you choose Spanish, you'll see much more Spanish content, but that will not change where your content is displayed. So you have to sort of hack around it, and there's a couple of ways that we discovered that you can do it. The one way, which is kind of complicated, is to get a SIM card from that country where you want your content to be displayed. TikTok takes the SIM card data as the first information, even though you're connected. So I was in Portugal and I was connected to Portuguese Wi-Fi, but a Danish SIM card, and my content was still displayed to Denmark. So what you can do is get a different SIM card. If I want to be US, it would be an American SIM card, for example. And another alternative, which is easier and maybe also quicker, is that you can take out the SIM card and then use a VPN service to connect through the US, for example. And in that case, your content will be displayed in the US, and you also see American content in your feed, so that you can actually change the location.
So do you think that it's worth hacking that SIM card kind of rule and do like market hopping? Because I would imagine, like for instance, let's say you're building content, you live in New Zealand, and how many people live in New Zealand? Like 7 million, 10 million, something like that? It's a small country. Would it make sense if you don't have location-specific content to New Zealand to get a US SIM? Because US is 350 million people. Like, does it make sense to go to a larger market, or is that just not worth the trouble?
Right. I mean, before we make a recommendation, we should also say that you should do this at your own risk. Some of like using a VPN, some of these sort of tactics are a bit, I would say, like a gray hat hack strategy, and maybe it may not be approved by TikTok in the future. It works right now and it's fine, and I've been doing that. But just something to consider, that use it at your own risk, because it's sort of outside of the regular guidelines. I think if you are committed to building a TikTok profile and you see that it could have an ROI on your business or your personal brand, I think it makes sense to commit to displaying your content in a bigger market, especially as a business. You want to target different locations maybe, and I think that it definitely makes sense, and it's not that much of a hassle, but it does require some commitment. So you have to take out your SIM card, and you have to use a VPN, and most of the good VPNs will cost a bit of money, and not having the SIM card in, you just don't get phone calls. It depends on your situation. But I think if you really care about growing and you do have a chance to grow in a bigger account, if you are exposed to a bigger audience as well. I don't think sort of hopping back and forth is a good idea. When you change a lot, that will sort of get confusing and fuzzy. But if you are willing to stick to it, I think in my specific case, it did work for me. I saw a big uptick in my growth when I changed the location.
What do you suggest people do if they're multinational? Like, if you're a company and you're in 3 countries, or you're a person who constantly switches back and forth?
Yeah, so I've seen some people that will do multilingual content. I think this is very confusing, and I wouldn't generally recommend this. I think you're sort of splitting your efforts. Same as a company, I think what you can do is focus on what's the main market, and then go all in on that one and grow that one and get it big. We've seen companies that will create separate accounts for different countries, and that makes sense because I think if it's in a different language, it should be in a different account, and then you could do your company name for, let's say, Mexico, and then you have Spanish content in there, so that makes sense, or Portuguese in Brazil, whatever that may be. But I think it's better to sort of make a commitment and stick to the major market where you have the biggest chance of growth and focus on that one.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. That if you see big companies in multiple countries, they just create their brand plus the location, since it makes more sense to have a smaller pool that aligns closer with your language and your content than to just try to create this umbrella account that can't possibly meet the needs of every single market.
This is the end of the section. Congratulations, you have learned a lot. Now you know how to open a TikTok Pro account and do analytics. You know how to get your account verified and what does it mean to have an account verified. You know what are the future upcoming features on TikTok based on the Chinese version of TikTok. And finally, you know how to change your location, meaning what type of content you see in your feed, and when you post your content, where it is displayed. So this is the end of the entire section. Next section is really cool. We're going to take a look at how to actually start creating your very first post and explain what are the 5 critical elements to having a good post, and we'll actually walk through it, and you can follow along as I create a new post. So if you're ready, let's jump into the next section.